You are joining Kezia from the blog and Instagram The Whole Food Diary. Today I am going out to check my bees and I'm going to take you with me. I am heading out to check my bees. I haven't done it in about 10 days. But first, a note as I get dressed in my full bee gear, and that is I am very much a beginner. So take this as a window in on real time, my journey as I get started, and come along and join me. But know that I am a beginner. I'm getting my smoker going here with some egg boxes and dry leaves, and then let's get out there. Or out of the hive, and I'm giving them a few puffs of smoke through the entrance to calm them down, keep them calm, and keep me safe. And then I'm going to take the hive apart. So that is the roof coming off, and then this top box is where we will put the frames for when they make honey, but they don't need that right now. We're not doing that. So it actually is surrounding my feeder, which is just a glass jar. You can just see it there. I'm going to take this piece off now and you'll see that dark color underneath is all the bees feeding on the feeder. So we'll pop that down. Okay, so I've got the lid off. Now I'm going to blow some more in because they are still going wild. This bottom box is where the bees live. It's the brood box. It's where the queen is. It's where she is laying. This is a reducer on the front just to make it a bit easier for them to protect their little entrance. And then these are the frames. The wired ones are where I attached my nuke frames that are a little bit smaller to the frames that came with the hive. So when they arrived in the nuke, they were on 5 frames and they were all already built out with the structure. And now we're going to take a look at all of them. So this is what the frames that came with the hive look like. They're empty, no bees on them yet. And we're just going to go through and check all of the different frames. So after 2 empty frames, we'll get to the first one that actually came with the nuke that the bees arrive on. So this is the outside frame. Now last week this was not the outside frame, but I will show you what I did with that one. I moved it into the middle. And you can see this is pretty much covered with honey. There's a number of different kinds of cells, different things they'll fill them with, but what you're seeing here is capped honey. So they've got it to the right concentration and then they put a cap on it to protect it. They can then eat through that cap when they need to access the honey. You can see at the bottom there are some open cells that they're filling, but for the most part that is all full of honey. Okay, and then this is what last week was the middle frame, but it's the second one from the edge now, and you can see the appearance is much more brown color. So that is capped brood. So that's where the queen has been laying. You can see some honey up here at the top. They tend to lay honey at the outside, and then in the middle you've got the brood cells. So the next frame that I'm going to get out is currently the middle frame, but 10 days ago it was the outside frame and it was so light it had nothing on it. So it had all of the structure but none of the cells were filled, and now you can see probably about half of the cells are filled on both sides with honey. Now also in here you can see the queen. She has that yellow dot on her back. She's a marked queen. I slowed that down so you can see her. She tends to stay in the middle frame. Sometimes she can be hard to see, but she's marked, which makes it a lot easier. So this is the 4th frame, so one from the outside of the nuke that we got, and here you can see there's a mix. You've got honey around the edge, that lighter capped honey, and then in the middle the more orangey brown brood getting pretty full. They'll leave some spaces, I believe, and they can then pop into those spaces and heat the brood cells up by basically just wiggling around, which is pretty amazing in how they maintain their temperature through the winter. So we'll put that one back in, and then the final one, the 5th one, is so much lighter. There's a lot less going on in this one, but you can see some capped honey cells. I can see, you can't really see in the video, it's glistening. You can see them filling it. So they fill and then they concentrate it. And when it's at the right concentration, so less than, I think, 18.6%, that's when it's honey and it won't ferment. And then they will put the cap over the top. So we're putting this one back and then wait for the next frame. A little look at a bee before we go on. And then I'm just going to tap. It's a great way to get bees off something easily. Just tap and they'll come off. Okay, but look at this. This is one of the frames that had nothing on it when they arrived. When they came, they arrived on those 5 frames that I've wired in, but then I left these additional 3 frames in around the edges. Bees build kind of from the top down and the center out. And they have moved on to this. Over the last 10 days, they've been building that wax comb that they can then probably fill with honey. It's at the edge, so it's likely to be honey rather than brood cells, which would tend to be in the center. You can actually already see it glistening with nectar that they're filling it up with. I didn't expect them to do that at this point in the season. I thought they would be filling what they already had, but it was really exciting to see them build that. If you want to read 11 things you might need to get started with bees, that post is on the blog at thewholefooddairy.com/blog. It's basically the things I didn't know I would need to get started with bees. And now we're going to put the hive back together, pop the feeder on, and let these bees do their thing.